Well, I want to talk about something that's come up in the conversation on and off again, and I promised I was going to talk about this a little bit. But there's a book, and I want to alert the book club.
NoAgendaBooks.com.
NoAgendaBooks.com. The book is called Nullification, and it is. I had the page up, and I don't. It's you go to Amazon. Amazon.
Get to the point of the book. We'll find the book, okay? We'll find it.
The point of the book, you know how we've been hearing, when people talk about, let's see, the Tea Partiers, I'll ask you, I'll grill you.
Okay.
When Tea Partiers talk about the Constitution, what are they talking about?
About the Constitution.
What about it?
Well,
what's the big deal about the Constitution? We have a Constitution, and so what are we doing wrong that the Constitution has to be mentioned in every sentence? I don't think half the Tea Parties know why.
So okay,
it has to do with the 10th Amendment.
Oh, about the states' rights, essentially.
It's not. It's actually when this book, which is called Nullification: How to Resist Federal Tyranny in the 21st Century by Thomas Woods, who's done a number of other interesting books, but I think the book club should definitely have this available for people. Discusses the fact that until Roosevelt, the states. It was not just a matter of states' rights, it's a matter of the 10th Amendment, whereby whatever the federal government does in terms of rules and laws, and let's play a clip so we can kind of get into this. Start with just a simple clip, the first nullification clip, Rant 1.
But this is left out of the discussion. And will actions speak louder than words? I don't care what they said in 1798, 1799. I don't care about some letter they wrote. I care about what they did. And when they were faced with a federal government they thought was out of control, they said, no, we're not going along. The Frankenstein monster does not tell Dr. Frankenstein what to do. We are not going along. And there is example after example of this, again, that I chronicle in the book. This is history that has fallen down the Orwellian memory hole. However, thanks to the internet and all of you good folks who are determined to learn the truth, who don't want to learn some comic book version of American history, who are willing to concede that maybe they learned the wrong thing or an incomplete version of American history in 4th grade, you people happen to have very long, retractable arms. You can reach down into that Orwellian memory hole and pull out parts of American history that we're supposed to forget. We're not even supposed to know about them, much less discuss them.
Okay.
So one of the things that we're discussing here is the concept that unless something is specifically written in the U.S. Constitution, any federal law that is written can be nullified by any state who wants to nullify it because it's not in the Constitution, because all those rights belong to the states. And he goes on about the fact that we do have a federal system. We do not have a national government, that people keep ignoring the fact that it's not a national government. It's a federal government. The states have priority over the federal law, and that's the only reason that alcohol was made illegal. It took a constitutional amendment for prohibition to take place. There's never been a constitutional amendment for the illegalization of marijuana, for example, California being a good example of the semi-legalizing it, or any other drug for that matter. It's the states that have that opportunity unless a constitutional amendment is passed, and it's never been passed. So the fact that the feds come into California and they start busting people for drugs when the Californians say that it's fine is completely an abrogation of their responsibilities as a federal government. And this is what's going on and is being accepted. Now, this guy in this book outlines this better than anyone I've ever seen. This is really what they're talking about when they're talking about the Constitution. It's talking, and it is kind of about states' rights, but it's more to it than that. It's about the system that we've created. Play clip 3.
Oh, I had clip 2 ready. Sorry about that.
I'm sure you would.
Yeah, here we go. Okay, I'm liking this, by the way. Let me just, while I'm getting that ready. So, when the Tea Party, who I'm sure a lot of them don't understand, but the Constitution of the United States, essentially everything else can be overridden by the states, and that's this guy's point, is if the feds come in to bust marijuana shops, of which there's no constitutional law against marijuana, then really the California National Guard should shoot them.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Look at South Carolina's Ordinance of Secession, December 20th, 1860. Notice what they're complaining about, because we get a lot about, well, you know, this had something to do with the Civil War. I don't know what they're talking about. I mean, people have read like half a sentence, and they say, wasn't the Civil War all about this? Well, yes, but in the complete opposite way from what people think. What does South Carolina complain about in its Ordinance of Secession? That the North is nullifying too many laws. You talk about nullification today, and people say, oh, that's some crazy Confederate idea. What are you, some kind of evil Confederate who wants to enslave people? I mean, again, this is the sort of Pravda propaganda we have to deal with here. Like, people won't even have an honest debate with you. They just reduce it to this sort of Pravda kind of language. But in fact, look at the reality. The reality is the South is upset that the North is nullifying. That the North is nullifying the fugitive slave laws. So this is not a Southern doctrine. This is not a Northern doctrine. It's an American one. This was the point of the American Revolution. To create a society that consisted of a collection of self-governing communities. Not one single consolidated whole. The world was lousy with those. The world already had 1 million of those. Where the government of France dictates to all of France. The world already had that. You know, the United States was trying to be a little bit unique. And we've thrown this legacy away completely.
I like this guy. This is a Thomas E. Woods Jr.
Yeah.
Nullification, How to Resist Federal Tyranny in the 21st Century. This guy is laying it down. What a smackdown. This is great. Now, John, first of all, thank you very much. This is what No Agenda is all about. Exposing you to people who actually can tell you the truth and assassinate the stupid media and the bull crap that we've been living under. And this is the same can be said for Obamacare.
And everything, and almost anything the feds do.
Yeah.
If it's not in the Constitution specifically,
it's none of their business. They need to butt out. The states can and should have their own laws and regulations. And if you don't like it, you can go move to a different state.
Well, he brings that possibility up because one of the arguments against this, somebody apparently says stuff like, well, if one state nullifies this and that, and another state nullifies other things, you have inconsistent laws, which is what you have anyway, by the way, because all the states have their. Yeah, I can't take a right turn on a red light in New York. Yeah, and I can take a right turn on a red light in California. How's that any different?
Yeah, and you used to be able to drink in Connecticut when you were 18, and you went to the next state over across county lines. It was 21.
Right, and of course they're trying to. The feds want to make it their law. Well, we're going to make it universal 21, and so they do stuff like that. But the fact of the matter is, they can't do stuff like that. It's unless it's in the Constitution. They can't do that. It's up to the states. This is not a national government. That's the key. Play clip 4.
My answer to the idea that maybe some states will do some things and some will do others. My answer is, so what? That is the United States that the framers of the Constitution tried to give us. A group of self-governing communities. And yes, Vermont might be different from Texas, which is different from North Dakota, which is different from Maryland. So what? That's what differentiates it from every lousy regime that exists in the whole freaking world. Can't we have some respite from centralized government somewhere?
Oh, yes! Praise the Lord! I need some respite. What is that?
In other words, the respite means a removal. Like taking a vacation.
That's the word of the day, respite. Is it R-E-S-P-O-T? R-E-S-P-E-O-T?
No, it's not respite. It's respite. S-P-I-T-E.
R-E-S-P-I-T-E. Respite.
So anyway, he goes on with this.
Suck it to me. R-E-S-P-I-T-E. Yeah.
All right, let's go. Might as well get this over with. Let's go to clip 5.
Second objection. What about the supremacy clause of the Constitution? Doesn't Article 6 doesn't Article 6 say, and as you hear endlessly in the media when they even deign to discuss the subject, they'll say, well, federal law trumps state law. Really? That's what I would give you an F if you thought that's what the Constitution says. What does the supremacy clause actually say? It says, and I'm paraphrasing, that the Constitution and laws in pursuance thereof shall be the supreme law of the land. Well, nobody who supports state nullification denies that. That's not the issue. The issue is this particular law that we're confronted with, is this one in pursuance of the Constitution? That's the issue. Nobody denies that a constitutional law is indeed the supreme law of the land. The question is this one constitutional? So citing the supremacy clause simply begs the question. It shows you don't even understand the nature of the debate we're having. So, for example, imagine proposing the Constitution to the states, and it had a clause in it that says, the Constitution shall be the supreme law of the land, plus whatever all laws, constitutional or not, we may choose to pass. Who in his right mind would ratify a document like that? No one understood it to mean that. Of course it doesn't mean that. The point is that unconstitutional laws are not the supreme law of the land, and that's precisely what we're saying.
And that's what's so beautiful is we picked up on the law of the land meme months ago, where this is being shoved down our throats, where the president stands up and passes something and says, it's now the law of the land. Slaves,
exactly.
This is the law of the land. You got to believe it. This is what you're going to believe. They have completely mind-controlled us into not understanding, indeed, John, what the Constitution is.
And that's why the Constitution keeps coming up in the debate.